Agitorium nostrum in nomine Domini. We continue. We're on now the finishing of the Humanum Genus, the encyclical on Freemasonry, who, with a long list of popes, have condemned it. Humanum Genus was written by
Pope Leo the 13th.
What year?
1834. No, 1884.
Paragraph 32, page 25. Further, by assiduous teaching and exhortation, the multitude must be drawn to learn diligently the precepts of religion. In other words, learn the basic
Catechism.
Yes. Who else said that the knowledge of the basic catechism is the best antidote against modernism?
Pope St. Pius X.
Yes, he did. He did. It's so important to learn the catechism and to teach it. He did require priests to teach the catechism 1 hour every Sunday and feast day. He requires this. Of course, in our circumstance, it's not always practical, but when one has a normal running parish, every Sunday, many of the priests will have an hour might be a bit long, but at least 45 minutes, half an hour of catechism for all the parish. I've done that pretty much everywhere I've gone, where I had a steady mission and time allowed it for everybody. And I allow coffee and donuts because there's not the pressure to finish and get out of there. Because if there's no coffee and donuts, most of them will leave and not stay for catechism, believe it or not. So if you allow coffee and donuts, they can go grab the donuts and coffee and whatever treats, go sit down on the tables, and you just give a catechism. Those who pay attention, blessed be God. Those who don't, well, maybe they'll hear something. So, and then, raise questions and involve the children as well. And if you have a really good system, some of the parishioners can help and take the children who are, let's say, 12 and younger for a separate catechism class to cover just basics. And then maybe another one to take the older kids separately. But whatever way, it's teaching the catechism, and it's very important that it be done. So he's saying that again, learn the precepts of religion, for which purpose we earnestly advise that by opportune writings and sermons they be taught the elements of those sacred truths in which Christian philosophy is contained. The result of this will be that the minds of men will be made sound by instruction. They'll have a healthy mind, and will be protected against many forms of error and inducements to wickedness, especially in the present unbounded freedom of writing and insatiable eagerness for learning. Yeah, insatiable eagerness for learning. So having an eagerness for learning is praiseworthy, right? But insatiable is a disorder, meaning that it's really internet without restrictions. It's internet, even good internet. It's just loaded with information and data. That also can be an abuse. St. Thomas Aquinas speaks of vain curiosity. So just to look up information for information's sake, without a purpose or real order to it, can also be sinful. Maybe not mortally sinful, but it's a disorder, right? Just data, learning for just insatiable greed. It's like with food, you just can't stop eating. Same with feeding the mind, you just can't stop learning more, but it has no purpose. Yes?
It's similar then to being overambitious?
Yeah, in the realm of knowledge, yes. Yeah, so being able to rattle off, a bunch of facts, well, for what? Well, some want to look smart by being able to do that, maybe, I don't know. God alone reads their heart and mind. But, so, Pope Leo XIII is wisely saying, a good instruction, good catechism class, good sound preaching of the Catholic faith helps many people avoid dangers. And it helps the sheep stay on the right path. So when the priest, for example, condemns dating from the pulpit, which he has to, modern idea of dating, that is teenagers going off alone and being supported by parents letting Jack take the car keys, go pick up his girlfriend, but be back at 1 a.m. Well, parents, when they hear from the pulpit, this is sinful, it's putting your kids in an occasion of sin, you can't be doing this. There is a proper way of dating, courting. There's a proper time of courting, and it's not adolescent years. Certainly not below 18. Maybe 18 they can start. If they can reasonably support a family, and they're mature, and they are truly ready for marriage, well, that could be, there's room for that. But in many cases, under 18 and just going off alone with a girl, that's just simply asking for trouble, called fornication. It's just, so how many good parents, when they hear the priest, we better make sure this doesn't happen with our children. So in fact, parents who apply these good principles and wise advice of teaching of the church, then they're going to see good, happy marriages with their children if they get married. Because there's no happier marriages than when they enter marriage pure and virgins. And the white dress on the wedding day really means what it symbolizes. She is virgin. And she's prepared for marriage. She is ready for marriage. They have been prepared by the priest. And he and she get married, and it's a very happy union. It really is. It's meant by God. But if they act married before marriage, it sows bitter weeds into the marriage that sprout up later. And what the couple has to do, if they've done this, they have to make reparation to God. They have to do penance together, which could be a form of fasting or prayer or a pilgrimage to some site. They have to do some penance for that. It doesn't mean their marriage is forever ruined, but they have to do some penance and foster the chastity and purity in their children. So, 33, take it, Gavril.
Great indeed is the work, but in it the clergy will share your labors. If through your care they are fitted for it by learning and a well-trained life, this good and great work requires to be helped also by the industry of those amongst the laity in whom a love of religion and of country is joined to learning and goodness of life. By uniting the efforts of both clergy and laity, strive, venerable brethren, to make men thoroughly know and love the Church. For the greater their knowledge and love of the Church, the more will they be turned away from clandestine societies.
Yes, so he's talking to the bishops, and he's telling the bishops, get the clergy, get the priests to teach the faith, get them to alarm everyone of the dangers of Freemasonry, of these secret societies, and then foster them a love for Mother Church, a great love for the Church, which is a supernatural institution, and with a wonderful history. Our Catholic Church is the most exciting history you could ever have, of the lives of saints, and condemning heresies and errors, and miracles and prophecies. Right? So just recently there was an article on the catacombs showing another so-called Eucharistic miracle of the new Mass. Like one or two of them have been found to be absolute frauds. And what they thought was blood on the host was actually, when it fell to the floor, it picked up some bacteria. And there's a bacteria that turns red as it grows. So it wasn't blood at all. Under the microscope, they saw it was just a bacteria. So a lot of these so-called Eucharistic miracles of the new Mass are more and more showing to be frauds. And it makes perfect sense, because the new Mass is such an insult to God. How can he back something that insults him with miracles? So give a great love for the church. That is our Catholic Church of tradition. And it's good for priests. If you're priests, you give them a love for the papal encyclicals, which Archbishop Lefebvre passed down to us. And Bishop Williamson, in my case, gave to us a great love for the encyclicals of the great popes. So those were the golden days of Bishop Williamson. And I'm going to give you a chart. He made a great summary of this encyclical and many others. So I'll give that to you when we come to the end of this encyclical. All right, paragraph 34. Wherefore, not without cause do we use this occasion to state again that what we have stated elsewhere, namely. So here's remedies against Freemasonry. So this is quite a little surprising that he would say this. Read on, Guadalupe.
Namely, that the third order of St. Francis, whose discipline we a little while ago prudently mitigated, should be studiously promoted and sustained.
So what's a remedy he's promoting?
The third order of St. Francis.
Yeah, against Freemasonry. So you might say, well, what in the world does the third order of St. Francis have to do as a remedy for Freemasonry? Well, here he explains.
For the whole object of this order, as constituted by its founder, is to invite men to an imitation of Jesus Christ, to a love of the Church, and to the observance of all Christian virtues. And therefore it ought to be of great influence in suppressing the contagion of wicked societies. Let therefore this holy sodality be strengthened by a daily increase. Amongst the many benefits to be expected from it will be the great benefit of drawing the minds of men to liberty, fraternity, and equality of right. Not such as the Freemasons absurdly imagine, but such as Jesus Christ obtained for the human race, and St. Francis aspired to. The liberty, we mean, of sons of God.
Okay, so, pardon me, Pope Leo XIII is saying, liberty, equality, fraternity, the Freemasons have abused these Catholic virtues and qualities. And here he's listing, here's what the true liberty, equality, and fraternity are, which are especially fostered by the third order of St. Francis. So pick up there, the liberty we mean of, the liberty of
sons of God, through which we may be free from slavery to Satan or to our passions, both of them most wicked masters.
Okay, stop. So true liberty is
To be sons of God, free from Satan and from sin.
yeah. So the sons of God, the children of God, they are the true free ones who are not bound by addictions to sin. So with prayer, with confession, with the rosary and self-sacrifice and self-denial, you can be freed from addictions to all kinds of passions, disordered passions, right? So that's what the true freedom is. But the Freemasons twist freedom and liberty and define it as what?
Freedom from God
Freedom from God and
all authority.
all authority, all restraint, all restriction. Right? That's the false freedom, the false liberty. Freedom from obedience to his Catholic Church that he founded, of tradition, of course. Freedom from all law. They want to be free from the natural law now, which means a man is made in marriage for a woman, and a woman and a man to bring forth children. They want to twist this and pervert it. And they want to twist the clothing as well. Put women in men's clothes and men's in women's clothing. And it's perverse, it's wrong. So the true liberty is what he's explaining here. As children of God, from slavery to Satan in our passions. And such men are truly happy and free. Then he moves on to fraternity.
The fraternity whose origin is in God, the common creator and father of all.
Okay, stop. So what's the true fraternity? When we realize we're all brothers under the same. Fraternity means brotherhood. So what's he saying is the true fraternity?
We're all
Though we all have Almighty God as our creator and father.
Yes. And our Lord Jesus Christ is the head of them, head of the human race, the new Adam. So yes, so we have the common creator and father of all. And that goes among nations as well. So we are fellow brothers with our French and Canadian neighbors and Mexican neighbors. There's a true fraternity in God. But without God, it turns into tribal warfare. So the fraternity of the Freemasons is what? How do they twist this? It's a brotherhood without truth. It's a brotherhood without, you can believe all you want, any God you want, but not the true God.
So
separating brotherhood amongst men, but without God.
Yes, without the supernatural purpose, and which is getting to heaven, and the supernatural true God, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. This is what the Freemasons will admit the Trinity only on an equal level with Buddha, Muhammad, and all the false religions. They will never admit the exclusive true God at the exclusion of all others.
So you can truly say the Freemasons fraternity is a fraternity of iniquity.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes. All right, and then equality. The equality
which, founded on justice and charity, does not take away all distinctions among men, but out of the varieties of life, of duties, and of pursuits, forms that union and that harmony which naturally tend to the benefit and dignity of the state.
Yes, so true equality means basically everyone's different, but all these differences work together for the common good and to obtain heaven and for the glory of God. What's the false equality of the Freemasons?
That everyone is equal in every way.
Yeah, so much so that it becomes unnatural. It becomes absolutely unnatural. Such as putting girls on the wrestling mat, putting girls on a hockey team. That's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. Feminists would scream when they hear this. Well, when a girl grows up playing baseball, wrestling, hockey, all through her adolescent years, and then she's suddenly 18, 19, 20, and she goes through college and plays sports too. By the time she's a young woman ready to be married, what does she know about holding a house, sewing, cleaning babies? All she knows is sports. Is she going to want to have babies? No. All she knows is just doing manly sports. So not that sports have no place in the formation of young women, but feminine sports, and obviously ordered in temperance, in reason. Girls, by the time they're graduated from high school, they should know how to take care of a house, how to cook, how to sew, how to take care of a baby. But no education does this anymore, except maybe some nuns. But I don't even know. My mother said in Belgium that the sisters would always teach the girls this stuff. The sisters, the nuns, would have special classes on how to cook, how to keep a house, how to prepare good meals that are nutritious, have flavor, and are enjoyable. And they even learned, which only women can really get into, are professional bakers, breads, how to make certain breads. Breads for a dessert, breads for a lunch, breads for a supper. There's different breads. And then how to wash a baby in a bathtub, how to clean their ears, how to clean their tiny little nose. They used to teach all this, the sisters. And how to keep a household, how to clean, how to fix minor things in the house. This is so important. And it's scorned in the modern world. The average college, high school girl today hardly knows how to make scrambled eggs. Hardly. And I heard one girl boast as a high school girl, all I know how to do is make toast. And I said to her, so when you get married, you think your husband's going to be happy with that? Here, honey, here's breakfast. It's a microwave oven breakfast. You think he's going to stick around for that? Well, I'll get a job and I'll do this and I'll do that. Well, this feminism destroys a woman. And it's deep in American culture. That's why the Catholic families have to cut this modern American poison and raise their children, and especially their girls, the way they should know. They should know these basic things. I know girls that don't even have no idea how to sew. They can't sew. When every girl should know how to sew. So this is the false equality of the Freemasons. They want to turn women into men, take away the beauty of femininity, and turn men into a bunch of women. And the same with the boys' schools. Boys' schools in Belgium and in Europe, they used to, at age 13, 14, the boys who were more academic would go on to studies. The boys who were more practical, they would start learning a trade. And St. John Bosco was good at this. He started a trade school because he had many boys who he knew would never be priests. They're never going to be philosophers and teachers. They're going to be woodworkers. They're going to be leather workers. So he had them making shoes, printing books, binding books, working with wood. Very, very important and very good. Very good. How many frustrated boys in 10th grade, 11th grade, frustrated because they have to learn, trigonometry and calculus and this useless stuff for a boy who's never going to use it. While at age 13, 14, they could be in high school learning a trade. By the time they're graduated, they have a trade under their belt. They're ready to get married and raise a family. It's a wonderful system, and that's the Catholic system. But this fake modern world and the fake equality has to run all the kids like meat through a grinder, and they all come out the same shape and patties. The false equality. So by the time they're graduated from high school, they don't know, all they know how to do is dribble a basketball. And the girls, all they know how to do is throw a football, which is disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. And they learn to dress like men, wear blue jeans, and they just become grossly masculine, which in all honesty is just foul and repulsive. So we need to bring back feminine girls. But that has to come from good families. And Catholic families can do this. And, look at the Amish families, their girls are feminine. And their boys are masculine. It's really neat to drive by. Where I grew up, we used to see all of the Amish all the time, and with their horses, and they would make great Catholics, But it's really wonderful to see their young boys with their dad out on the field plowing with a horse and plow. It's really neat. Really great to see. The boys working with their dad. That's normal. That should be. But the state laws in the United States, because of the Freemasons, they forbade boys under 18 cannot, they're not allowed to have jobs like with their father. Something like that. There's some, they're supposedly protecting the children. But how many boys, want to work with their dads, could learn the trade of their father, but the father can't take them because it's against the law to bring a minor to your workplace. So another good reason to have one's own business, because you can take your boys with you. Anyway, so the false equality. And so here's the true equality. Founded on justice and charity, the true equality does not take away all distinctions among men, but out of the varieties of life, of duties, and of pursuits forms that union and that harmony which naturally tend to the benefit and dignity of the state. So isn't that wonderful? That's the true equality that admits differences. Differences of talent, differences of gender, differences of intellect, differences of skill, differences of race. And that's a fact. God has given certain races certain gifts and other races other gifts. And to pretend that all races are absolutely equal is also foolish. Because some races are, like they say in Europe, the last thing they would want is a British cook. They want a French cook. They're the best chefs, right? So, and they don't want an Italian mechanic. They want a German mechanic. Because Germans are known for their precision. So there are gifts that God has given to races. 35. In the third place, there is a matter wisely instituted by our forefathers, but in course of time laid aside, which may now be used as a pattern and form of something similar. We mean the associations or guilds of workmen. This is wonderful what Leo XIII is saying here. Restore the medieval guilds. Bring back the guilds. What were the guilds? They were associations of let's just say, doctors, associations of stone workers, carpenters, who would form like a guild so that there was some financial support as well. Everybody contributed. So if one guy, his house burned down by accident, and the guild all pitched in because they have like an insurance policy, and they build him a new house, right? So it's really wonderful. They look after each other like brothers. At the processions on the feast days, they would represent themselves as a guild with banners, processing behind the Blessed Sacrament, singing to God. And then the boys and the children, the families growing up, the boys would learn from their dad and his friends how to do stone cutting, how to learn from them, and be formed right in the trade, if he was interested to go that route, which often they were, because that's what they grew up with. So it's a wonderful thing. And the French Revolution got rid of the guilds. They knew the value of these Catholic institutions. So what's wonderful about it is, one, it's very practical, it's business-oriented, and it's what most men have to deal with. So he's calling for bring back the medieval guilds. And Father Dennis Fay has wonderful chapters on this. We mean the associations or guilds of workmen for the protection, under the guidance of religion, both of their temporal interests and of their morality. So isn't that great? So they can go to work among other Catholic men, and they're not talking dirty. They're not boasting about divorcing their wives and remarrying someone else. That's not and hearing blasphemies all day. They don't have to hear that because they're all Catholic. And they're all trying to save their soul, and they have a charity among themselves. If our ancestors, by long use and experience, felt the benefit of these guilds, our age perhaps will feel it the more by reason of the opportunity which they will give of crushing the power of the sects, that is, of the Masonic lodges. Those who support themselves by the labor of their hands, besides being, by their very condition, most worthy above all others of charity and consolation, are also especially exposed to the allurements of men whose ways lie in fraud and deceit. Therefore they ought to be helped with the greatest possible kindness, and to be invited to join associations that are good, lest they be drawn away to others that are evil. So he's talking about, bad lodges and bad groups that attract young men to join them, and they get involved and they just learn a life of sin and vice. Another reason to restore the guilds. For this reason, we greatly wish for the salvation of the people that under the auspices and patronage of the bishops, and at convenient times, these guilds may be generally restored. And this echo of Leo XIII, this call, still applies now. We need to restore the Catholic guilds. And there was a movement in St. Mary's a number of years ago to do this, but it was squelched by the reigning pastor at the time. but the pastor has really nothing to say about it. It's the laymen that have to do these things, and the priest would give his blessing. He might be a chaplain, but they don't need to be totally under a priest to do this. To our great delight, sodalities of this kind and also associations of masters have in many places already been established, having each class of them for their object to help the honest workman to protect and guard his children and family, and to promote in them piety, Christian knowledge, and a moral life. So, yes, in some places, even today, there's the Angelus bell, and all the men will just stop, pray the Angelus, and then cut for lunch, say grace, cut for lunch, and then go back to work. But it's a good atmosphere, it's a moral atmosphere, and not depraved music playing all day. So there are a few of these workplaces run by good Catholic men, but we need more of them. Especially in the medical field, we have to restore. There should be guilds of doctors and nurses who restore sound medicine that looks for the good of the patients instead of all this pharmaceutical poison, and use natural remedies. And a place of a home where they can have access to sunshine, get out in the sun, which is the best medicine, instead of in these air-conditioned, airtight hospitals and nursing homes when they can't get out and get some fresh air. So that's why we need an order of nuns who will take care of such things. The active part of nuns, restore the nuns' hospitals and brothers. All this has to be restored. And in this matter, we cannot omit a mentioning that exemplary society named after its founder, St. Vincent, and St. Vincent de Paul, which has deserved so well of the people of the lower order. Its acts and its aims are well known. Its whole object is to give relief to the poor and miserable. So how many of you, where you live, have heard of the St. Vincent de Paul Society? I guess it's more common in the north. But St. Vincent de Paul Society is still going, and they take care of the poor, they gather food, they gather clothing for the poor. So in many places, this is still going in the United States. St. Vincent de Paul Society, which is a noble thing. Its whole object is to give relief to the poor and miserable. This it does with singular prudence and modesty. And the less it wishes to be seen, the better it is fitted for the exercise of Christian charity and for the relief of suffering. So they don't blow the trumpet and glorify their own institution. They just humbly take care of the poor. and the sick. And then there's many good movements today, and we need more of them, that help women who are pregnant and show them the goodness of having their children and not killing their children. And girls who are afraid, I'm too young to get married, well, you don't have to force yourself into a bad marriage. Have the baby, and we'll make sure that the baby gets adopted. And there's a lot of these groups. Protestants have these kind of groups also. And in that realm, they do much good. They do much good because they dissuade the poor girls from horrors of abortion, which will wreck up their minds because they do a murder, and they know it. They know they do it. So they have a peace of mind, and the baby can be adopted to a healthy and good family. And this is normal. This is something good. So, 36, in the fourth place, in order more easily to attain what we wish, to your fidelity and watchfulness, we commend in a special manner the young as being the hope of human society. So he's telling the bishops, look after the youth. How? How? Off the top of your head, without looking, what's he going to say? How do you look after the youth, bishops?
By making sure that they're not being fed immorality.
Okay, yeah, so bishops get on the state if they print garbage or put out bad videos. Call and work. The bishops of the United States should call for the censorship of pornography. That should be something the bishops are concerned about, rather than this whole immigration question. And uproot abortion from each state. That's what they need to be worried about, and preach and then of course Catholic schools, instruction, and videos, and good classes, and good courses, and books and pamphlets, and clean up the internet, make the internet, clean it of its filth, and have, if there's going to be internet, use it for the right purpose, for a good purpose. It's like a big library, really. So look after the young. And Archbishop Lefebvre in Africa, he'd set up a whole system of catechists, men who would go out to the bush to teach tribes catechism. So when the priest would come, the tribe already had a knowledge of some basic catechism. So the priest could come, start baptizing, start giving Holy Communion, and then the bishop would later visit for confirmation. So, okay, we'll pick up next time. Adiutorium nostrum in nomine Domini.